When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all things, all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." Here ends the reading.
Thank you, Rhonda. May God grant us wisdom and understanding. Jean, I guess you weren't the only one with espresso this morning, huh? Wow, it's so beautiful. Pam and Stephen, thank you. Last Sunday, the world was captivated by a remarkable climb. Did you see it?
For those of us watching the live stream at home, it was a death-defying, nerve-shredding, edge-of-the-seat experience.
He's done it!
But the man himself, Alex Honnold, had the time of his life.
This is so cool.
Taipei 101 is a 101-story skyscraper towering 1,667 feet in the air. And it's been climbed before, but never without ropes. Untethered, the 40-year-old American climber, famous for the Oscar-winning film Free Solo, made history again. This time, the spectacle live-streamed on Netflix.
Oh, this is amazing. I mean, look at the day. It's so beautiful. It's like, look at Taipei.
Can you just take a step back? You're making me nervous, man. Can you just
With crowds watching below and from inside.
See you guys in a little bit. I'm going to keep cruising.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels infinite. It just keeps going forever. So, I mean, that was definitely the challenge, was just to stay present.
And the understated and unrivaled king of free soloing stayed present for 95 minutes. The father of two checking in with wife Sandy at the 60th floor. At times, no hands.
No.
And at other times, hanging in the air, to the delight and terror of the hosts and crowds below.
Now, I lived in Taipei for 3 months back in 1985, and I took a lot of photos. I was even in a few, like this one. I actually had hair at one time. But I never took a selfie like this. I mean, what an incredible feat. Look at that view. It can take a Herculean effort sometimes to gain a new perspective. And, you know, what struck me wasn't just the physical daring of Alex's climb. It was his patience. 95 minutes of focus. 95 minutes of trusting each move that he made. And when he finally reached the top, he didn't discover a new city. He discovered a new way of looking at the same city. Most of us will never scale a skyscraper, although Randy is actually a climber. He climbs in an inside gym, our tech. person back there, but all of us are fully capable of gaining a new perspective. And that's what Jesus offers in today's text, not a new set of rules, but a new way of seeing our lives right now. In order to do that, Jesus climbs a mountain to help his followers gain perspective. And Matthew tells us when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain. And after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them. You know, mountaintop experiences matter. They change our perspective. From below, we see things one way, and then from up above, say, in the San Bernardino Mountains in Oak Glen at our all-church retreat coming up in April, you'll have a view like that. And we can suddenly see our lives in a fresh new way. Problems that once felt overwhelming, they don't disappear, but they often look different from up there. You know, when you have a wider perspective, things are less overwhelming when we have a chance to get away and take a look anew. This morning's text invites us to look at life and to look at blessings from an unexpected angle. And you know, Jesus doesn't begin by praising the strongest or the richest or the most impressive. He doesn't say those are the ones who are blessed, even though that's what the world might say. Instead, he begins with the lowly, the grieving, the gentle, the overlooked. He flips our assumptions upside down. So, are you ready to be flipped this morning? I didn't say flipped off, I said flipped. Maybe it would help to imagine standing on a peak. Maybe it would help to imagine standing on a skyscraper, a summit of a mountain for a moment. So let's do that. I invite you right now, go ahead, close your eyes, picture yourself high above your day-to-day life. I'm talking above the emails, above the news cycle, above the worries you carried in with you this morning. Now, I might add, some of you rocket scientists might skip the mountains altogether and head straight to the moon, and that's okay. Whatever image helps you loosen your grip on the usual way of seeing life's challenges. Close your eyes, take a moment to go there. Are you there? Okay, that was fun. You can open. Sometimes that's all it takes. I was up in a plane recently, and I gained a new perspective on a Southwest flight. I chose a window seat as I flew west over the ocean before banking sharply and heading due east toward Dallas, where these two lovely grandsons reside. That's Hudson and Oliver. But before we turned to head that way, I looked down and I saw tiny islands scattered across shimmering blue water right in L.A. That was my view. That's from my iPhone out the window of the plane. And I'm like, oh, look at all those islands. This is absolutely spectacular where we live. And so from that height, the worries that I had packed into my carry-on, they felt somehow smaller way up there. And the view reminded me that blessings surround us, but often we're too close to the ground. We're just too close to the ground to notice them or appreciate them. Jesus knows this about us, and he has this fascinating take on blessings, and it's very different from the world's definition. And so he takes his disciples up on a mountain to gain a new perspective, and right away things get strange. He says, blessed are the poor in spirit. In other Gospels, it's just, blessed are the poor, not even in spirit. And I have to say, wait a minute, Jesus, wait a minute. Did you get that wrong? Do you have altitude sickness? Are you not thinking straight? Surely you mean, blessed are the confident. Blessed are the successful. Blessed are the ones that have it all together, right? Here's the thing. The Greek word for blessed doesn't mean happy in a shallow sense. It means deeply held. Isn't that a beautiful definition of blessed? To be deeply held, to be favored. It's rooted in God's care. So Jesus isn't saying, hey, go out there and be poor, or go out there and be poor in spirit, and then you'll be blessed. No, he's saying, look, God is already present with those who feel poor in spirit, those who feel empty, those who feel overwhelmed, those who feel unsure, those who feel exhausted, poor in spirit. And because God is with them, they're blessed. That changes everything, doesn't it? Well, Jesus goes on, he says, blessed are those who mourn. And again, what? Blessed are those who mourn? Now, Jesus isn't saying, because this is true, I want you to start crying and then you'll feel blessed. Grieve real deeply and then you'll feel the blessing. No. That's absurd. Jesus is simply telling the truth about life. Loss happens. Grief happens. And when we mourn, God shows up. God shows up in ways that are nothing less than blessings. In the 3.5 years that I've served MBCC, we've averaged 12 deaths a year. Now, that means, among other things, that there are people in the pews right now, sitting next to you, who know what mourning feels like deep in their bones. And I want to say, Jesus doesn't rush past those feelings with easy answers. He names it, and then he promises God's presence in that grief. What do I mean? Well, God's presence doesn't mean, oh, it's all going to be fine. Don't you worry. I think what it means is grief will come for all of us. And when it does, we are not alone. Sometimes God shows up in a casserole, or origami decorations, or handwritten notes, or shared silence, or a hug that goes on uncomfortably long because you can't pull yourself away, you're weeping in the shoulder of a friend. The blessing isn't the loss. That's absurd. The blessing comes from the faith community who stands by us and carries us through it. And Jesus says, blessed are the meek. And again, this isn't about go out there and strive to be weak and passive, and then you'll be blessed. No. Meekness is strength that refuses to dominate. We need more of that in our country. Strength that refuses to dominate. It's choosing not to crush others even when we have the power to do so. In a culture that equates volume with authority and aggression with leadership, meekness is this quiet countercultural thing we can do that takes courage. So we don't act meek in order to be blessed. Those who are meek, they're already blessed. That's it. They're blessed because they're not caught up in this desperate grasping for power and control and dominance. Jesus goes on to say, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. He doesn't say, blessed are the ones who are certain that they're morally superior. You know anybody like that? We've all seen what happens when people hunger more for political victories than they do for justice. We've seen outrage replace compassion. We've seen certainty replace humility. It gets ugly. It gets despicable. And Jesus says righteousness is not about thinking you're right or I'm right. It's about longing for a world that's right, that works for everyone. All God's children. And the question, I think, for all of us is, are we hungry for that kind of world? Church, are we aching when something feels wrong in our society? Does it bother us? And I'm saying, regardless of our political party or ideology, don't ignore what the gospel's saying because you think I'm being too political. I'm not talking about political party or ideology. I'm preaching the gospel. Listen. Do we really hunger and thirst for righteousness? And if so, Jesus says, we are blessed. He also says, blessed are the merciful, and that sounds lovely until somebody hurts you, right? Here's the thing, mercy isn't about being nice to mean and obnoxious people. It's about refusing to let bitterness have the final word. It's about choosing healing over revenge. And yes, extending mercy to others is so often inconvenient. But do it anyway, right? Let's do it anyway. Mercy frees the giver as much as the receiver, and that truly is a blessing, to be released from the need to seek revenge. Jesus says, blessed are the pure in heart. He doesn't say the blessed ones are pure in every way. Instead, the pure in heart are honest and they're wholehearted. That is, they've cultivated integrity in their character. We're talking about people who don't just perform the Christian faith. We're talking about people who walk the talk. And because that's true, they're truly blessed. People who practice love when nobody's watching but God. They're blessed. Those are the ones, Jesus says, who see God. What a blessing. And then come the peacemakers. And this is interesting. It's not the peacekeepers. That's a whole different ballgame. It's the peacemakers. Not those who avoid conflict, but those who do the hard work of reconciliation. I'm talking about people who ask hard questions, and it makes people uncomfortable sometimes, but they stay at the table. They build bridges rather than walking away, which would be so much easier. Just going to walk away, take my ball and go home. Finally, Jesus says, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. In other words, friends, loving the way Jesus loves can be costly. Seeking justice for all may make us unpopular with some, even our family. Following Jesus might put us out of step with the loudest voices of the moment, and yes, maybe even lead us to quietly click unfollow on some of our Facebook friends who have mistakenly replaced conviction with cruelty. Which brings us back to that mountain. It's all about perspective, isn't it? It's not so much what happens to us in this life, it's our perspective that matters. It's our attitude about it, how we perceive it, how we choose to respond then to it. It's how we see God in the midst of our lives. And the Beatitudes then are not a ladder to climb. Go out there and be poor in spirit. You can climb the ladder and be blessed. No. That's not what is being said. Jesus hasn't given us a to-do list in order to be blessed. Rather, He's giving us a mirror to look into it, gain a new perspective, see all the hidden blessings that already exist right here, right now, in your life and mine. Friends, Alex Honnold didn't build a house on top of that skyscraper. He came down, but he came down changed. He came down carrying a new way of seeing the same city, Taipei. And that's not what Jesus has said is for some. That's for all of us. We can all gain a new perspective. That's what He's done for all of us this morning. his Beatitudes have really flipped things upside down. They are not a call to escape the world. They're an invitation to re-enter our lives with new eyes, new perspective. And so when we walk back into our week, when we walk back into our families, our workplaces, our communities, we're still going to see grief and conflict and injustice and uncertainty, but hopefully with a different lens, because we know God is going to show up, not just at the top, but in the valleys, in the cracks, in the quiet courage, in the hungering for justice, in mercy that so often costs us something, in peacemaking that gets our hands dirty. So I want to leave us with one simple, challenging invitation. This week, choose to live as if Jesus is right about this whole blessing idea. Choose to believe that Jesus is right about where blessing is found in this life. Just try it. Test me on this, and let me know how your week goes. Amen.